When sending images to a print shop for high-end print, meaning going to a printing press and they're building either the old way film or the new way direct to plate to produce your image, you need to consider a couple of important things. Firstly, the color space. Secondly, do your colors stay true? And also as important, the resolution. Do you have enough detail, enough pixels to reproduce this in high quality? So let's start with color space. On most images, if you go to your image menu and choose mode, you'll notice RGB color, red, green, and blue. That's the color space of all digital cameras, of scanners, of your monitor. But for high-end print, the print shops typically want to receive the files in converted in the print color space, CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Now check with your print shop. InDesign can natively convert from RGB to CMYK when it PDFs or when it prints, so you may not need to do that anymore. Going directly to CMYK was a requirement for everyone years ago, but has lightened up in recent years because more and more people are using Adobe InDesign to do layouts for high-end print. But let's assume your print shop has asked you to make this image CMYK before you deliver it to them. Before I commit to my color, choosing CMYK will produce cyan, magenta, and yellow, and most importantly, your black plate controlling the overall detail, color, and contrast. So before we commit to putting those colors on those plates, let's take a look at what this conversion will do to our image. If I go to my View menu, there is an option for proof colors. I always remember Command Y or Control Y for why did my image print this way? If I choose proof colors, did you notice that switch? In proof colors, I'll just hit Command Y or Control Y. The hat was a bright, rich magenta, and when I turn on proof colors, that bright, rich magenta is a little bit outside of the printable gamut, so I do lose a little bit of the richness there, and also in the dress in certain portions. And they might just be oversaturated colors, but often I recommend if it's going to a printing press, you work with proof colors on so you make better decisions when you're color correcting. In fact, to see what colors are out of the printable gamut meaning just the colors that a press can reproduce, you could turn on a gamut warning, and it's highlighting the areas that will shift when they go to a printing press. I'll turn off the gamut warning and watch some of these other areas again as I choose View Proof Colors. So I didn't notice it a bit, but the greens also get a little bit more dull when you go to Proof Colors. Before we go to CMYK, I'm going to check the resolution. Now, ideally, they want this image to be printed at 10 inches wide, and press quality for almost everyone is 300 pixels per inch. So if I go to Image and choose Image Size, this will show me the width, the height, and the resolution. Now I only have 8 inches, so I'm going to type 10, and then when I do 10, there's a new preview window in Photoshop CC. Resampling means it's adding resolution. So they need it 10 inches by 6 inches at 300 pixels per inch. So when I type 300, it zooms in even farther to show you at 100%, this is what it will look like when it's finished. But there are some pretty cool testing options in here. One that I found is very handy is the Preserve Details. With Preserve Details on and Reduce Noise at 0, you may see some camera noise or some sharpening noise. As I slide Reduce Noise up, it attempts to keep the solids smoother. So if I hold down here, that's before, let go, after. Before when I click and hold, after when I let go. So as I slide Reduce Noise up, you can get a really wild looking result on this image, attempting to keep all the solids pretty smooth, but still give you good sharp edges. Now I'm not going to go that far. Automatic is typically best, but you could choose smoother, which you'll notice it gets a little bit softer between that and automatic. and maybe I'll watch the glasses. Smoother. There we go. You can see it in the grass and the edge of the glasses. Automatic. A little bit sharper detail everywhere. Now, if you're doing reduction of image size, sharper is preferred. But for enlargement, you could play with your own preserved detail settings, or you could use the smoother for enlargement. Automatic does quite well. The last few are for gradients, or nearest neighbor only looks at the left and right edge of a pixel. If you had a black object on a white background, nearest neighbor wouldn't produce a shade of gray where the black and white meet. It would keep your hard edges of black and white. And bilinear looks at a pixel up, down, left, and right. Normally you want to request that you get a new image already at 300 in the width and the height that you have. But if that's not possible, the image size dialog can add resolution. So when I click OK, Photoshop zooms in a little bit to let you see that it's a larger image. My file size is increased, and now I can do Image Mode CMYK Color. And it's warning me that I'm using US Web Coded. That's what I intend, so I can hit Don't Show Again and hit OK. And there you see that shift if I undo or redo on the hat. Now let's take a look at another image, and I wanted to open it this way to show you the warning. This hiking image has an sRGB color space profile attached, which is common for most digital cameras and the default for Photoshop. Earlier, I changed my color space to Adobe RGB, the preferred color space for high-end print. So I'm going to convert this to my color space to hopefully get better color for a press run. And I need to check the resolution on this. So I will go to Image, Image Size, and if I want to tell the client what resolution they could use this image at without letting Photoshop make up new pixels, I can uncheck Resample. Don't add new pixels or data, don't make anything up, shuffle around what I was given so I can tell the client this is the widest dimension we could use for the image you provided. So if I make the resolution 300 for press quality, the biggest I can get is about 4 by 5.5. So really, when I click OK, the file size doesn't change, but when it's placed into another program, it will appear at the proper size and be the perfect resolution for press quality. Now, press quality has some variance. The lowest acceptable resolution is really 225 pixels per inch. Below that, you'll start to see some quality loss. But there's a certain point where you just can't get a bigger image. So let's take a look at a third shot. If I open this image, it's very common for people to see a beautiful image on a website and think that it has enough resolution for print. With just a couple zoom in commands, Command plus or Control plus, I could see JPEG compression noise and really poor quality. If I go to Image and Image Size and try to increase the resolution to 300 pixels per inch, and take a look at my inch measurement, they need this one to be 5 by 3. Here you'll see it's just softening overall. You really don't get a lot of detail or quality. You could experiment with the preserved details, but they tend to get soft overall. So there's a bare minimum acceptable where Photoshop can enlarge the image and give it more resolution, or garbage in, garbage out. If you have a low resolution web only image, you can't really get it to the press color space and keep it looking as good as it was on your web page. So keep in mind, view proof colors to see what it will look like when it's converted to CMYK, image mode CMYK to commit to the conversion, and image size to check the width, the height, the resolution, and experiment with increasing or decreasing the resolution of your images. Knowing these three things will really help you prepare far better web images and not accept a low quality image when a higher resolution version may be floating out there. You just need to get to the right person at the client site. So good luck with press quality images, and keep these rules in mind.